that tell people to do the wrong things all the time. This is partly what I'm saying to them. You want to tell people what to do, but when people do it, not take responsibility. This is why I have to keep doing these lives, keep telling you who's involved so that you guys know. When they talked about how there is a PA system, they just said it again in New York. They said, you out loud, everyone can hear it. So if there's a PA system in New York that allows people to tell mentally ill people, which they know they involved, to do the worst things ever, and then when the mentally ill people say, well, they told me to do it, because they don't have the ability to not either A, keep that a secret, but B, not do it, why won't they then say, yes, we are the ones who did it? Just like they want a credit for my life and said, hey, I was involved in talking to her at night and coaching her gently at night. Why aren't they doing it in those cases too when they did it? And this is part of what I'm saying. When they're telling me what to do, what to say, and I'm like, I'm not listening to you. You're nuts. People who are mentally ill wouldn't be able to do and say that. So when they said that, they said at one point when I was in Lacoste in the boutique, this was late in my time in 2016, I was told by a manager, no, he didn't tell me. He told someone else that I'm smart, but not that smart, meaning that they're saying that they knew, Lacoste knew this was going to happen to me. And I would be smart, but not smart enough to do, they said defeated, like the word defeat, which would, again, not be my word. Like I wouldn't talk about me defeating something, but meaning this whole thing would be something that would happen to me and I would be able to kind of overcome it, but not enough. Like they just said at one point, they said I was in my bathroom and they keep going over this. This is how I'm saying how this manipulation, mind control works. They keep going over and over and over. And each time it switches just enough that if I'm arguing with the voices, I wouldn't catch the switch. Like just now when I'm starting this and saying what I'm going to begin with saying, it would slowly turn so that they would eventually change the memory, which goes back to the Alzheimer's letter from 2019. So I'm saying I got that Alzheimer's letter before, and I showed you guys the postmark that looks not exactly 2019, kind of 2018. And then at one point, I put the letter up and it said brain scan. And I remember even noting, why are we scanning my... Okay, it said reconnecting. So I'm thinking when I got the letter, why are we scanning my and Alzheimer's and scan my brain? Like, what would be the reason I would agree to it? And so all of a sudden, I find the letter after the break-in, and it doesn't say brain scan. It says blood draw. And the letter is like dated 2016, again, that year again. So when they're saying it's not 2016, well, why do I keep seeing that year everywhere? Then it's my birth date. So what I think was December. I didn't look at it recently. So it's like December, right before my birthday. I think it was the 4th or the 5th. And it's online, so you guys can look at it. So you know I'm not changing anything. And then the date afterwards says closer to the date that I received it. And the envelope went from being definitely a 2019 letter to looking like it could have been 2018, 2019. So something was weird. And all of a sudden, all of these things happen to me at the same time. So when I'm arguing with the voices and they're switching things slightly, there's still physical evidence that I have that I couldn't have lied about this stuff. The book is a physical piece of evidence. The letter's a physical piece of evidence. The comments, physical pieces of evidence that they were going to watch me and surveil me and do this to me. So when they're bringing up what happened in Lacoste, that I would be smart, not smart enough, or not too smart, I don't think anyone would be so smart to put all of this together unless it happened to them. And they said, see, that's me switching it to make me not seem as dumb or something like that. No, that's me saying that unless you lived through this, you would not have known this was possible, which goes back to, again, there's something in their personality assessment that they did on me. They said from childhood is that I don't want to admit when I make a mistake. I've admitted I've made mistakes throughout my life, even during this journey that we've been on YouTube. So the personality assessment that they're putting on me isn't what they actually observed in me. It's what I was supposed to become. I was supposed to become the person who says, well, the voices said this and the voices said that. Well, what voices? The ones I recorded. So once it's recordable and everyone can hear it, it becomes, well, who's talking to you? Which is going back to the point that I originally started this video with. Who is talking to people, telling them to do stupid things? And because they know our personality assessments, they know who's smart but not smart enough. That's part of why they targeted me, because they figured I would be smart but not smart enough. And that goes back to what I'm saying. This is all connected. See, she said that went in the wrong direction. Yes, it did go in the wrong direction. But according to her, she agrees that if you have people who you know, based on the personality assessments, are smart but not smart enough to, quote unquote, defeat this, or not smart enough to not listen to the voices, and you target those particular people, you should be held responsible. So just like they wanted to be held responsible for the things that I've accomplished, they need to be held responsible for the things that they cause other people to do. In a way, I think that is the point. The point for people not to listen to the voices. The point is for people to listen to the voices, to follow what the voices tell them to do. And then when that happens, the people who do voices pretend that they're mentally ill, that they're schizophrenic, that these people didn't actually hear that and didn't follow it. So I want to talk to you about this in terms of, they said, the conversation I had with the voices in the bathroom, which they refer to, not in my head, out loud. They said at one point, I said to them, they're not going to take my mind. They can take everything, but they can't take my mind. And they said, didn't we turn you full R word for mentally disabled? So they at one point said, there's a song, there's a song years ago by the Black Eyed Peas. And at one point the line was, let's get the R word. And they didn't like that song. So they said at the time, they didn't want me to listen to that song. That's another thing. I'm going to tell you the songs that they don't want me to listen to because it offends them. So they didn't want to listen to that song because of that word. And then later on, there was a version without that word. So when they started to see me go through my mental problem, but also my physical problem, they used to say it's like revenge because I would sing that song. First of all, I liked the song, but I wasn't singing that song. I didn't say the R word. They said in a tweet I put mentally the R word, which is a real thing. It's not like I made it up, and it wasn't to insult anyone. But to get revenge on me, they said you went full R word. You see how they're mentally ill? They're connecting all sorts of things that don't have to be connected, that shouldn't be connected. So when they go back to that day when I'm in my bathroom and I'm arguing with the voices and saying they're not going to take my mind, they say, well, we did take your mind. Again, here they are accepting responsibility for something so horrifying, so terrible. Yet when people who are targeted say they do this, they don't want to take responsibility for it. And that's why I have to keep telling you guys this. Let's go do the song that they don't like. They don't like, someone said, Papa Don't Preach. They've been talking about Madonna a lot recently. They know I'm a fan of hers for ages. And so they said just now, it's not Papa Don't Preach, like a prayer that they didn't like. They said because of the religious reasons. Another song that they didn't like was, oh man, recently I heard it and they were like, oh, don't play that song, meaning they're mentally ill. There's something wrong with them, where just the song in of itself is a problem. The idea that to punish people, they found, and this goes back to this whole thing. They kept talking about the purge, meaning they're gonna target people and punish them for things that they feel they've done over the years. So my punishment was because I didn't give enough. I wasn't generous enough. I wouldn't let people come over and sleep over at my apartment or open my doors up to people who needed help. Who does that? This is New York City, the Bronx. You mean they're outside of my apartment and can do this much damage? I'm going to let them live with me and completely destroy my life, kill me? The death threats that I've let you guys hear, the screams, all of this stuff, the sounds, I'm going to bring into my apartment? They punished me by making me, quote unquote, them go full R word, and I'm going to bring that into my apartment? So this is going back to, it's connecting every single thing that they've done, not just to me, but to other victims. Where if we have a system in New York City that allows people to hack in and talk to people while we're walking down the street, we need to know that. If we have a system where they can wire your buildings to spy on you and then blackmail you, we need to know that. I'm fighting them every single day to expose this. If they were trying to help me and could really take credit for anything, which they're really just listening to my videos and rewording it and then feeding it back to me and other people. If I'm fighting them, then they are the ones doing it. I'm not fighting most people who aren't doing it would want to know this and would want this exposed. I'm fighting the very people who are doing it, who have the power and the ability to abuse their power without feeling, caring, or worrying about who it's done to, unless it's done to them. Suddenly, all of a sudden now, I need someone to counsel me on how to they said, like, work this new, they quote unquote, newfound fame. When this was happening to me and they were keeping my videos hidden and twisting everything around on me, I didn't need any counseling then. But now I need someone to step in and tell me what to say so that they don't get directly blamed. That's how powerful they are. They said that they're not really rich. They're rich enough to be able to do this and do it long enough and afford to do it long enough, but not rich enough to be able to make their money without doing it. You know what I mean? So they needed to exploit rich, powerful people. They said they don't want the world to go back to the way it was, and that the people they involved in this felt, I guess, as part of this purge, to purge wealthy people. Well, I've been saying, if these people are rich people, then why wouldn't the people involved with it purge them first? They're the ones taking advantage of everyone and abusing power. They should be the first one in the purge. Why are we going after people who haven't done anything? That's part of this. It's part of the mind game that they played on the people who they recruit to do these things. So I guess I was supposed to be recruited to do these things to people, and when I'm not getting involved in it, they came after me. That's how I feel now. Because part of this was that they run these scams, they run all of these stealing things and doing all these types of things, and they felt that the other people they recruited would just do it. Fortunately, they didn't do it because they realized that it's just like when people say the voices told them to do something. If they do it, they're the ones who get in trouble for it. They're the ones who get arrested. They're the ones who are made to seem crazy. And what I'm saying is that this is actually happening to people. They are, and someone today who talked to me through this system said, you notice everything in writing is them recruiting you for something. Exactly. Every everything I've ever received from these people is getting me involved with them. So for people who say they didn't want me, I'm not wanted. Why do I have all this proof that I was wanted? But I wasn't wanted as I am, which is this type of person. I was wanted as a person who would just do things that I'm told to do, which is part of when they said as a child they didn't like me, because I wasn't that kid. I wasn't the kid who would just do something because I'm told to do it. I would question. I would wonder why. And for the people who did like me, they liked that about me, because I think when I go back to how our grandparents, Gen X, our grandparents didn't want us to just be followers. They were like, don't. And I think they lived through enough in their life and in their, years to know that the people who just follow orders and follow commands are the ones who have problems. That generation, they had all sorts of sayings that I'm sure all of you, someone said, if your friends jump off the bridge or something, would you do it? Like, that's what they just said. Meaning that was something that my grandparents' generation didn't want. They didn't want a bunch of followers. They didn't want a bunch of people who just took orders, and they wanted to teach us to question things. Don't just go along with everything. And that's another part of what I'm saying. So when they're talking about these personality assessments, it's clearly it wasn't for you then. They just said that. But when they're talking about these personality assessments, someone just said, but the mind control would have made it for me. But there's another third part of that. So clearly it wasn't for me, but the mind control would have made it for me. But they said, someone else said that, and desperation. But I'm going to add the last part of that. Making a mistake. I could have, and like I said, they talk about making mistakes. I could have made a mistake. This whole doing this publicly could still be a mistake, which is partly why I keep trying to find professionals who are used to this and understand this. In East Germany, they had that thing I told you guys about. I can't pronounce it, but it starts with a Z. It translates to decomposition, meaning the idea that I could make a big mistake and it could destroy everything I've been trying to do. And that's partly why when you see me on camera, I don't look like a professional anything. I'm not a professional anything. I'm a victim of this just as much as other people are. It destroys you. It literally decomposes you. And when they keep saying, they keep trying to bring me back to what I was as a little girl, which is weird enough. It's impossible, because that me is destroyed. She doesn't exist. And they don't want to acknowledge that, because to acknowledge that means they said then something went right. Yeah. But more than that, if you acknowledge that you have the power to decompose somebody, you are acknowledging that when you target people who are mentally ill and can't fight you, and you decompose them, they will do what you want them to do. They will not realize it. And by the time they realize that they've done whatever it is that you told them, they don't have the ability to expose you. And that's part of this. It's taking advantage of people. It's destroying them. It's exploiting them in a way that's so horrible that people they mentioned earlier commit suicide. And for them to be able to see that and not care, not even take responsibility for it, is part of what I'm trying to expose, that we're dealing with a system, a program that decomposes people who are the most vulnerable people in our society, who, like me, are smart but not smart enough. And they target that. So they said something, but I can't hear it now. So this is partly what I'm trying to expose. And who's doing this? People who have experience in this. I mean, most people I know don't know about the Stasi. They don't know about surveilling people, breaking into their homes, taking things, getting them to a point where they've lost almost everything they've ever cared about. And someone, the comment, I'm going to use that as a thumbnail on this video, that whatever you care about is what they go after. think about that. And I think they just said that I would say think about that. The one thing in your life you care about most, and if someone took that away from you, what would you do? And it's not just that that's what they're going to go after, that's what they're going to target. It's that they know that will be the one thing that makes your life fall apart. That will be what makes you decompose. So they say, aren't you going to go through the list of examples? No, I don't have to. I'm not. This is what I'm saying. I'm going to answer that person who said I should go through the list of examples of things that they could take away that you value. No, it's supposed to be for the people who are listening to think about. I don't have to tell them. It's forget it. Forget it. So anyway, I'm going to just close my eyes for a few minutes, let you guys listen to what they're talking about, and then I will get up. might not have been picked up because, they go to reconnecting, but they're letting their um they're saying something along the lines that I'm making a big mistake, and that I'm the person who, out of everyone, is the worst person because I'm telling. They said it's not just that I'm naming names. I think the mistake was doing this to people. It's not just to me, the most horrifying thing I could imagine. It's probably, the most horrifying thing anyone could imagine, realizing that people are invading your privacy all the time, suggesting things to say, and when you say it, they turn it around and twist it, that you said it first, or that was your thought, that was your mind, that they're taking like personality assessments on you throughout your life to see when they can target you and set you up, and when you'd be most they said vulnerable, then someone else is susceptible. But when you'd be most I can't even think of the word that I wanted to use because they keep interrupting. And, at one point they said, to quote them, try not to keep talking over everyone. Well, I'm not just talking over people, I'm talking over the voices. So it's like trying to have a conversation where you hear something so loud and you're trying to keep your mind focused on what you want to say, and someone else is talking, and it's just confusion. But maybe that's it. When do they target you? When you're the most confused, when you're the most out of your mind, literally. So not susceptible, not what was the other word they suggested, something else, but when you're the most confused and out of your mind, and when you would most need to have your mind straight is when they target you, because you don't know, you don't understand. So even now, on it, saying I'm making a big mistake and all these things about me, I don't know. Do you think I know? I know I don't. I'm doing what I feel is the right thing to do. If that makes me the worst person out of this group, out of this bunch, or whatever they call us, meaning there are multiple people, not just me, being affected by this, then I understand that. I wouldn't be in my right mind. But that's part of why I wanted this to be public, because by making it public, if I'm doing something wrong, the public would say something. If I'm doing something that works out, the public will see it. When they try to suppress my civil rights, I know I'm not doing something wrong. If this is the whole point, this was the whole point of this. It was supposed to be public humiliation, broadcasting publicly. So suddenly you want to hide it, then I must be doing something right. And partly what I'm saying is the people involved don't have the power to do this on their own. Somebody allowed them to do this and do it everywhere I go. I go to Stop and Shop right over here on Bartow Avenue. They said, great, why are you saying the exact locations? Well, it's out loud there. I go on the bus, it's out loud there. They said, don't forget there are also people following me around. But this is my point. Who gave these people the power to humiliate me based on lies? The more they admit all of this, the more they're saying things that I wouldn't know, I wouldn't understand. And they said, well, they just said, isn't that giving them some sort of credit for telling me some of the stuff? Well, some of the stuff, someone said they were tricked into telling, yes. And some of the stuff they wouldn't want me to know. So you really think the people who do the voices would want me to know any of this? This was supposed to be in people's heads, not out loud, a system of having mentally ill people get victimized. And when they're most confused, when they would need help the most, And that's the other part of this. This isn't supposed to happen to people. And when people need help, to take advantage of them, and you have the power to help them. Part of this is like these people could put people into safe environments, safe places to live. No, instead they're going to have us all fight each other. Who gets the apartment? Who, it's like Survivor, or like some sort of you know thing where we're all fighting and we're all arguing, and the walls are talking to you and they're recording it. It's like you're dealing with people who are so heartless, so uncaring, that it's like the Hunger Games. That's what this is. And when I put that in the guest movie playlist, they were like something, oh, you were watching kids. First of all, when I saw that movie, I was younger and they weren't kids. But the idea, when I say they weren't kids, like, the idea was every little thing, like anything I watch would be me watching kids. So the Hunger Games is me watching kids. What was the other thing they said? Some other show, me watching kids. So it's that's their thought process. So they said, well, there are kids in the movie. There are also adults in the movie. I don't. So in their thought process, to claim that I'm watching kids, they would use the example of the Hunger Games. Really? That's your example? So they said, oh yeah, right, or something like that. They just said. So this is what I'm telling you. It's like they put us in an environment where we were all supposed to fight and argue, and then what happens? They said because this quote, some of what they did was actually in reality, which I know. How are they going to then pretend that I'm schizophrenic? How are they going to then pretend that I'm mentally ill? So they didn't do this to be nice. They did it because they already did a lot of this in reality. So it was more of a mind game on me that other people knew was being played on me than it was them being nice and saying, well, we're saying all this because we're trying to help you. No, you got caught up in your own mind game. So I don't know, something that happened with their conversation is they're talking about something else. So I really want you guys to hear what they're saying. So I'm going to be quiet. They just said they're going to steal your brand away. Um, I don't. I think that they're saying is they're going to try to imitate the elementary schoolmates' way of talking to get me upset or something like that. They were talking about that before. That was their plan. So you notice how. So they just said plotting. You notice how they seem to be planning things. This goes back to what I'm talking about when they were trying to do this setup. They said they were doing what was the phrase they used, something like to kind of before I could do something they'll know it and they can pretty much stop me from doing it. So if they're working out how this would work, meaning they keep saying they keep trying to recreate or redo something. So whatever they felt worked, they're going to try again. Whatever that didn't work, they won't try. So you can tell this is not normal. Someone just said, "Stop talking now, everyone." And he just said, "Well, then you start talking." Okay, it said reconnecting, so okay, it said reconnecting, so they said they count how many times they could say what I was going to say before I say it. But that's also part of the problem. You're not just saying what I'm going to say before I say it. You are in some way manipulating what I'm going to say. We've already I've argued with them about this. So, for example, if you're just about to say something and they say something, you're more likely to say that same thing. So it's no longer about predicting what I'm going to say. It's manipulating me into saying it. So, for example, if I'm going to say the sky is blue and I'm about to say the sky is gray and they go gray right at the same time, I'm more likely to say gray than blue. So they're manipulating me into saying something that I probably wouldn't say. So at that point, if I wanted to say the sky is blue, I would say, no, I mean to say blue. And that's part of how this works. It's not just hearing them talk, it's something physically that they do to people. It's not just like a radio program like you listen to. It's more like they do something physically to you. Part of it is the frequencies. Part of it is hitting you. I call it lasers, but they called it a maser, like a microwave laser. And part of it is there's another form of technology. So it's like radio waves, it's lasers, and it's microwaves. So it's your body does something. So your body it has an effect on your body. So I found something earlier that talked about how your it causes your tissue to throb, I'll say, or like expand, contract. And that's part of why people think it's in their heads and they get the headaches and it's your muscles also reacting to it. So it's not just talking, it's the physical stuff that's done to people. It's also the effects of the technology. I think they said they're wondering why no one's in the chat or no one's in the listening. They said talk about Allie Wentworth. They said even if I gave you a million names, it's not enough to protect everybody. So there's the issue. What did they just admit to? They said someone said the very thing you're accusing them of. Exactly. I'm going to end this live now and make it public. Thank you for listening.